Who is Emma Frost? Samara Weaving's X-Men character explained. Warning, spoiler warning. This video contains major spoilers from Emma Frost's comic book history, including her origins, powers, relationships, and transformation from villain to X-Man. If you want to discover the character completely fresh, this is your warning to watch first. What if one of the most dangerous mutants in the X-Men universe didn't need to throw a single punch to defeat you? What if she could simply look at you, enter your mind, and know exactly what you were thinking? That is Emma Frost. And now the White Queen is officially coming to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, with Samara Weaving playing Emma Frost in Marvel Studios' upcoming X-Men movie. Marvel officially revealed the new X-Men cast at D23 in August 2026. The lineup includes Samara Weaving as Emma Frost, Sadie Sink as Jean Grey, Kit Connor as Cyclops, Christopher Abbott as Professor X, Maya Boyd as Storm, Inde Navarrete as Rogue, and Adam Driver as Mr. Sinister. The movie is currently scheduled for May 5, 2028. But who exactly is Emma Frost? Because if you only know her from previous X-Men movies, you may know her as the woman who can turn her body into diamond. But that's only one part of the character. Emma Frost is one of the most complicated mutants in Marvel Comics. She began as a villain. She became the White Queen of the Hellfire Club. She eventually became a teacher and one of the X-Men's most important allies. And along the way, she became one of the most powerful telepaths in the Marvel Universe. So let's take a closer look at who Emma Frost really is, how her powers work, and why Marvel's decision to put her into its first major X-Men movie could be extremely important. Emma Frost first appeared in the Uncanny X-Men number 129 in 1980, during the famous Dark Phoenix saga. She was introduced as the White Queen, a powerful member of the Hellfire Club. The Hellfire Club wasn't simply another group of supervillains. It was a secret organization made up of wealthy and influential people who wanted control over society and the mutant world. Emma fit perfectly into that environment. She was wealthy, intelligent, confident, sophisticated, and extremely ambitious. But Emma didn't necessarily believe that she was evil. She believed the world was dangerous, and she believed mutants needed power if they wanted to survive. That philosophy would define her character for decades. Emma wasn't interested in waiting for someone else to protect her. She wanted to become powerful enough to protect herself, and she had the abilities to do exactly that. Emma's greatest weapon is her mind. She is an extremely powerful telepath who can read thoughts, communicate mentally, create psychic illusions, manipulate perceptions, and attack opponents directly through their minds. That means Emma doesn't always need to physically fight someone. She can potentially defeat an enemy before they even realize they are under attack. But Emma has another ability that makes her even more interesting. She can transform her entire body into an incredibly durable diamond-like form. In this state, Emma becomes extremely resistant to physical damage. But there is an important limitation. When Emma enters her diamond form, she generally loses access to her telepathic abilities. So she has a choice: mind or body, telepathy or diamond. That weakness is important because it prevents Emma from simply using everything at the same time. She has to think ahead. And thinking ahead is what Emma does best. But here's where her story becomes much more complicated. Emma wasn't always a hero. For years, she was an antagonist of the X-Men. She manipulated people. She used her influence to advance her own goals. And she was perfectly comfortable making morally questionable decisions. But eventually, her relationship with the mutant community began to change. One of the biggest turning points came through her connection with younger mutants. Emma became a teacher and mentor. And through those relationships, another side of her personality started to emerge. She genuinely cared about protecting mutant children and preparing them for a world that feared them. That didn't suddenly make Emma innocent. She remained arrogant. She remained manipulative. And she was still willing to cross moral lines. But her priorities changed. Instead of simply wanting power for herself, she increasingly wanted to protect mutant kind. Eventually, Emma became one of the X-Men's most important allies. And then we get to one of the biggest relationships in her history. Scott Summers, Cyclops. In the comics, Emma and Scott eventually become romantically involved. Their relationship becomes especially important after Jean Grey's death and during some of the darkest periods in X-Men history. Scott and Emma are very different people. Scott is disciplined, controlled, and constantly carrying the pressure of leadership. Emma is confident, provocative, psychologically sharp, and willing to challenge almost anyone. But they understand each other. Both have spent years making impossible decisions. Both understand the responsibility of protecting mutants. And both are willing to make choices that other heroes might consider unacceptable if they believe those choices will save lives. However, there is something very important to remember about the MCU. Marvel has officially confirmed Samara Weaving as Emma Frost and Kit Connor as Cyclops. But Marvel has not confirmed that Emma and Scott will have a romantic relationship in the upcoming movie. So if you see people claiming that their comic book romance is definitely happening, treat that as speculation. The movie could take Emma in a completely different direction, and one confirmed character makes that possibility even more interesting. That character is Mr. Sinister. Adam Driver has been officially announced as the classic X-Men villain Nathaniel Essex, better known as Mr. Sinister. Sinister has deep connections to mutant genetics, experimentation, and some of the darkest parts of X-Men mythology. Emma, meanwhile, has a long history involving mutant politics, secret organizations, and complicated ideas about survival. Marvel has not revealed exactly how these characters will connect, so we shouldn't pretend we already know the plot. Could Emma be connected to the Hellfire Club? Could she begin the story as an antagonist? Could she disagree with Professor Xavier's philosophy? Or could she already be trying to protect mutants but using methods that the X-Men consider unacceptable? Those are possibilities, not confirmed story details. And honestly, that's what makes Emma Frost so exciting. Because Emma isn't a traditional hero. She's not really a traditional villain either. She's a survivor. She's a strategist. She's a teacher. She's a leader. And she's someone who can genuinely care about people while still manipulating them. That contradiction is at the heart of Emma Frost. She can save someone's life and then remind them exactly why they owe her. She can protect mutants while believing that her way is the only way. And she can stand beside the X-Men while still thinking like the White Queen. That complexity is also what makes Samara Weaving such an interesting choice for the role. Emma needs more than someone who can simply wear the famous white costume. She needs confidence, charm, intelligence, and just enough unpredictability that you never completely know what she's going to do next. Weaving has already shown that she can balance intensity, comedy, vulnerability, and unpredictability, which could work extremely well for Emma. Because Emma Frost should feel like someone who believes she's the smartest person in the room, even when she's wrong. And that's what makes her dangerous. So, who is Emma Frost? She's the White Queen. She's one of Marvel's most powerful telepaths. She's a mutant who can transform her body into diamond. She's a former villain who eventually became one of the X-Men's most important allies. She's a teacher, strategist, leader, and one of the most morally complicated characters in mutant history. And now, Marvel Studios is officially bringing her into the MCU. Samara Weaving is Emma Frost. The new X-Men movie is currently scheduled for May 5, 2028, with Jake Schreier directing. But Marvel is still keeping Emma's actual story under wraps. And maybe that's exactly how it should be. Because Emma Frost works best when you're never completely sure what she's thinking. She might be your ally. She might be your enemy. Or, perhaps most dangerously, she might be both. And if Marvel gets the White Queen right, Emma Frost could become one of the most fascinating and unpredictable mutants in the entire MCU.